So are you ready to stop buying those herbal salves from the store to make your own? Hello, my name is Amanda and I'm from the Wild Herbal, and today we are going to take our infused oils and make a salve. So if you missed part 1 of this episode where we learned how to make an infused oil, you can click the card up here and go watch that first so you can make your infused oil. Or if you have an infused oil but it's still full of the herb and you don't know how to strain it, you can click this other one over here so you can figure out how to strain that oil. So we are gonna need your infused oil. We are gonna need some beeswax pellets, or if you have a great big bar of beeswax, you're gonna need that beeswax bar and a grater. A mason jar or a glass jar preferably that you can stick inside of a hot pot to do your salve in. Something to measure your oil, and a scale. So today we are going to be making 2 ounces of salve. It's about 60 milliliters, so I'm going to measure 60 milliliters in here, just about there. And then I'm going to turn my scale on. We're gonna put our jar and we're gonna press tare, so it has the weight of your jar. And now we're gonna add, so this really depends on climate. I like to add about half an ounce or so of beeswax for 2 ounces. I do, and that gives it a semi-hard taste. This was an 8 ounce and I added a lot, and it comes out a little bit hard and not extremely smooth, but I live in a hot climate, so it's really nice in the summer to have a salve that's a little bit thicker and a little bit harder. So the amount of beeswax that you put in here is not going to make an effect on anything, but it is going to vary by person depending on how you like your salve, whether you like it really creamy and you don't like to put any effort into it, like almost to squeeze it out, then you're not going to want very much beeswax. And if you want it pretty hard where your kids aren't just grabbing gobs of it out, then you're going to want more beeswax. So for this, I'm making it for somebody else. So I'm going to start with about half an ounce of beeswax. On your scale, if you have ounces, you're going to measure that out. And then I'm going to combine my oil with my beeswax. Then I'm going to stick it right here. I just have water in a pan, and I'm going to stick my jar in the pan, and I'm going to watch the beeswax. You'll see the little pellets on the bottom. It'll start melting, and when it is entirely melted, I'll be able to take it off, and then I'll pour it into a container and it'll pretty much be done. It's extremely simple to make your salve. So I'm actually going to show you this is a bone and tissue oil that I made, and I actually this is the Dr. Christopher's BF&C ointment, and it is incredible. It has comfrey in it, and I absolutely love this. This is amazing. Sprained ankles, broken bones, really sore muscles, we use this a lot. But just like a little bit of backstory, I love this and I use it all the time, but now I also make a salve that doesn't have comfrey, and I think they also sell it without comfrey. I buy it with comfrey, but I also make another salve that I'm going to show you guys how to make in a couple videos that is just a homemade Neosporin without comfrey. Because a couple months ago, my son was outside, he was running around, and we have big mesquite thorns. They're about this big, they're huge. And he got a thorn through the bottom of his foot, and he twisted his ankle and fell down. So I was able to take the thorn out, or I thought I took the thorn out, and his ankle was very swollen. I'm off of it for a few days, for about 2 weeks. We kept putting stuff, we kept doing baths with it. It has the comfrey and everything in it. Come to find out, like, it was still 6 weeks later, it was still underneath his ankle bone, it was still swollen. And I had no idea what was going on. So we took him in for an x-ray to make sure that he hadn't broken anything. And come to find out, not through the x-ray, but they put him in a cast. We did a walking cast for a couple weeks, and the swelling was still there. And then one day when I was rubbing the bone and tissue with comfrey, he's like, "Ow, mommy, that hurts. It looks like there's a thorn in there." And there was. So we were using the BF&C with comfrey, and comfrey is amazing, but it's also called knit bone. So is what it does, if you have dirt or something in that wound and you're put an oil like this with comfrey on it, will create an abscess. So it is something you want to be careful with. So I like to have a salve that has comfrey, and then I have a separate salve or a wind spray that does not have comfrey. And when I am 100% sure that there is no thorns and no dirt, then I can switch to the other salve and we can finish healing. But now that I've learned my lesson, we never start with the salve that has comfrey because it can make some really crazy problems and cause a lot of concern and a lot of worry because you have no idea what's going on. So that is an interesting story with comfrey that can help you remember to only use it for broken bones and sprains, and make sure that before you use it on a wound that there is no infection, that all the infection is cleared, there is no dirt, and that everything is clean, and it heals up amazing. It is an incredible healing herb, and I love it. Once we have this all melted, it might take about 10 minutes or so. When your beeswax is all melted and it looks clear in your container on the stove, you can go ahead and use a hot mitten, take it off. We are going to let it cool down just a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and prep our jars. So I have these cobalt blue jars. You definitely want something that, again, is either amber gloss or cobalt blue, something that is gonna keep the light out. So I have these jars are from Amazon, and they're from a company called Vivaplex, and they're incredible. Sometimes, depending on what type of bottle you're buying, they sell all types of amber glass jar bottles, but they're very high quality, and they can be a little bit more pricey than maybe other ones that you find on Amazon. But just let me tell you, stick with the high quality ones. I've gotten the low quality ones and they leak. I have ruined a lot of things and a lot of presents that I was planning on giving away because I wanted to save a couple dollars and bought low quality glass bottles, and then they leaked everywhere. So save the money. I have been using them probably for about 6 years, and I've never had an issue with any of their jars. They're amazing, high quality. They don't break really easy. All this caps screw on really well. You're not gonna have any leaking. So they're a good company. So once it's about, you can touch it. It's not, you don't want it to get too cold because then it does start to harden. Once it's about room temperature-ish, or where you can touch it. If you want, this is totally optional, you can go ahead and add essential oil. I personally, for this oil especially, because it is for sore muscles and for sprains, I really love lavender. My kids love lavender. It helps them. As soon as I get the Neosporin and I open it up, they smell the lavender and it immediately calms them down. So I love that just as a mom because I feel like it has an extremely calming effect on my kids. So they're starting to get calm, so I can rub their sprains or their bruises or whatever, and it's a little bit easier, more of a calming experience. So I always add lavender to this particular oil. So when it's about that temperature, because if you add it before then and it's too hot, then it won't smell. Ask me how I know that. I've done it tons. So for this, it's 60 milliliters. I'm probably gonna add about 5 drops of essential oil. Then I'm gonna stir this around, pour this oil into my jars, and that is it. The next step, you don't wanna put the lids on while it's cooling off. You wanna go ahead and just leave the lid off while it's cooling off. And in the meantime, you can go ahead and write what it is and the date that you created it and put it across the top or on the side. And there, voila, you have an amazing salve that is ready to go whenever you need it. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day.